From a brain doctor, I'm shocked. This habit raises stroke risk overnight. You're standing in the kitchen again. It's past midnight. The fridge hums, casting a dim, flickering light across the floor tiles. Your bare feet stick slightly to the cold linoleum. You reach for that innocent-looking bowl of leftover dessert. Maybe it's a slice of pie. Maybe it's a scoop of ice cream, or just a handful of grapes. Whatever it is, it's sugary, and it feels like comfort, a sweet ending to a long day. Except your brain doesn't think so. That sweet snack might be the exact reason you're waking up groggy, irritable, and inching ever closer to a major vascular disaster, the kind that doesn't send a calendar invite. It just happens. A stroke. You probably won't survive this. If it hits while you're sleeping, your chance of early detection is almost zero. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and local time in the comments. It's always fascinating to see who's tuning in from the other side of the planet at 2:47 a.m. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You choose slowly, feeling satisfied. But inside your bloodstream, glucose is spiking like a sugar-soaked roller coaster. Behind your eyes, in the tightly packed corridors of your brain, something else is stirring. Blood vessels quietly constrict, blood thickens just a touch more, and blood pressure edges upward without your consent. See, when you eat sugar, especially refined sugar, before bed, your body ramps up insulin production to keep things stable. But here's the catch. Insulin and blood pressure are closer friends than you think. That sugar surge doesn't just mess with your waistline. It nudges your blood vessels to tighten, your kidneys to retain sodium, and your blood to become just viscous enough to worry a neurologist. And your brain? It's not just a blob of thought soup. It's a hypersensitive, oxygen-greedy diva. It relies on steady blood flow to do its thing. Every sugar spike followed by an insulin dump messes with that rhythm. Think of it like watering a houseplant with fire hoses and then turning the tap off completely. Doesn't end well, does it? What's more, those sugary snacks you love, they hijack your sympathetic nervous system. You're supposed to be winding down, but your body's acting like you're prepping for a boxing match. Heart rate up, cortisol tiptoeing in, vessels getting confused. Should we relax or panic?
And don't even get me started on glucose variability. That's the technical term for the roller coaster you ride every time you alternate between sugar crashes and panicked cravings. It's not just annoying, it's dangerous. Studies have linked nighttime glucose variability to a higher incidence of ischemic strokes, particularly those that happen between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., the witching hour for blood flow disasters. Let's not forget your liver's role in this midnight madness. It's already doing overtime, detoxing your body while you sleep. But toss a big sugary snack into the mix? Now it has to prioritize glucose metabolism. The result? Less energy for brain repair, more inflammatory byproducts sloshing through your blood vessels, and a hot mess for your vascular lining. That endothelial wall, the protective coating on the inside of your arteries, gets inflamed, irritated, and unstable. And instability in the brain's vascular system is how strokes throw parties. And here's the kicker. You don't feel any of this happening. There's no alarm that rings when your arteries start misbehaving. There's no gentle, hey, maybe don't eat that, notification from your hypothalamus. It's silent, subtle, lurking. Now think about the brain stem, the ancient part of your brain responsible for basic functions like breathing and heart rate. It's right next to the arteries most vulnerable to stroke, the vertebral and basilar arteries. If a clot forms from this late-night sugar-fueled madness and it travels there, that's game over. Not to be dramatic, but let's just say it's not a spot you want traffic jams in. Oh, and remember those so-called healthy sweet snacks? Honey-roasted nuts, low-fat yogurt with fruit, banana chips? Cute, but no. They're still loaded with glucose. Even a couple of dates, nutrient-dense though they are, will fire up the insulin brigade just as effectively. If you must snack late, You need something with protein and fat, like half an avocado or some cottage cheese. Boring? Maybe. Life-saving? Absolutely. Here's what happens if you keep this up, night after night. Your body begins to normalize high nighttime blood sugar and pressure spikes. It thinks this is your new rhythm. It adapts, but not in the way you want. Your vessels stay tighter, your inflammation markers stay elevated, and your stroke risk doubles. Yes, doubles within a matter of weeks. Your brain goes from thriving to surviving. And the irony is, you might think you're helping yourself sleep, that a bite of something sweet helps you relax, that it comforts you. But your brain is secretly begging for mercy. It needs you to stop. So tomorrow night, when you wander into the kitchen again and reach for that snack, remember what's at stake. It's not just about blood sugar. It's about oxygen, blood flow, neurons firing, waking up alive. Because sometimes the worst damage happens while you sleep. And the danger started with dessert.
You barely slept last night, did you? Not that you're proud of it. You tell yourself it's fine. You'll catch up later, maybe take a nap. You're tough. You've done this before. But here's the truth no one likes to admit. Your brain doesn't forgive lost sleep. It collects that debt like a mafia boss. And the payment plan includes vascular damage. Every time you stay up late binge-watching crime documentaries or arguing with strangers online, your brain misses its most critical repair window. And I'm not talking about beauty sleep here. This is survival sleep. Specifically, it's about what happens during deep, non-REM sleep, when your brain runs its cleanup crew, the glymphatic system. That system works like a tiny janitorial staff, washing away waste proteins that build up during the day, like beta-amyloid and tau, both of which are strongly linked to stroke risk and Alzheimer's. When you cut sleep short, that system can't do its job, so the garbage piles up, neurons get gummed up, inflammation blooms like mold in a forgotten lunchbox, and tiny clots, they find places to hide. Here's where it gets more twisted. Just missing 2 hours of sleep tonight makes your blood vessels less flexible tomorrow. Think of a brand new rubber band versus one that's been left out in the sun. Less elasticity means higher pressure to push blood through your arteries, and that pressure, it's one of the main culprits behind both ischemic and hemorrhagic strokes. Meanwhile, your sympathetic nervous system is on high alert. Not enough sleep means more adrenaline, more cortisol, and less control over your heart rate variability. Your body thinks it's under threat, and your brain, especially your prefrontal cortex, is sitting in the dark waving a tiny white flag, asking for just one night off. Sleep deprivation doesn't just slow you down, it turns you into a clumsy time bomb. Your reaction speed plummets. Decision-making, questionable at best. And your coordination? Let's just say walking in a straight line becomes harder than parallel parking on a hill. That kind of mental fog isn't just annoying, it's a massive stroke risk if you're already teetering on the edge. And don't get me started on sleep apnea, because you might have it and not even know. Do you snore like a bulldozer in a tunnel? Ever wake up gasping or find yourself exhausted despite sleeping for 8 hours? That's your airway collapsing during sleep. Oxygen gets cut off, sometimes dozens of times an hour. Each time, your blood pressure spikes, your heart races, your brain panics, and each of those mini suffocation events chips away at your vascular health. Your hippocampus, the memory hub of your brain, is especially vulnerable here. With chronic poor sleep, it shrinks, not metaphorically, literally. That part of your brain gets smaller. It's like leaving your smartphone in the sun. Eventually, the battery stops holding a charge. So what does all this mean for stroke risk? Sleep deprivation is the sneaky background actor that turns minor health quirks into deadly scenarios. A slightly stiff artery becomes a clogged one. A bit of plaque becomes a full-on blockage. And harmless arrhythmia becomes a full-blown embolism. And it all happens in the quiet hours between midnight and dawn, while you think you're resting. Even worse, you normalize it. You start thinking 4 or 5 hours of sleep is fine. You learn to function on coffee, adrenaline, and sheer willpower. You convince yourself you're built different. You're not.
Every major neurological association, from the American Academy of Neurology to the European Stroke Organization, agrees on one thing. Consistent sleep deprivation is a direct stroke risk factor. Not a maybe, not a potential contributor. Direct. And still, you scroll. Your phone glows like a mini sun, tricking your brain into thinking it's daytime. Melatonin production plummets. Your circadian rhythm sighs in frustration. And before you know it, you're wide awake at 1:47 a.m., Googling, "Why do I feel weird at night?" Here's why. You're skipping the neurochemical reset your brain desperately needs. You're denying it access to slow-wave sleep, the very phase that reduces inflammation, restores neurotransmitter balance, and promotes vascular repair. Without it, the brain becomes like a city that's never cleaned. Trash everywhere, traffic jams at every intersection, electrical outages flickering across the cortex. The worst part? You feel fine, until you don't. That's the silent killer aspect of this whole equation. Stroke symptoms often arrive without warning. A drooping smile, a slurred word, a forgotten name. And if you're alone when it hits, which you probably are at night, who's calling 911? It's not just about you either. Stroke changes lives in an instant. Families get reshaped, independence disappears, and recovery, when possible, is a slow, brutal, uphill crawl. All because you stayed up answering emails and watching videos of raccoons stealing dog food. So let's rethink this habit. Your 11 p.m. productivity isn't noble, it's gambling with your life. Those all-nighters, they leave scars your MRI will eventually find. Your brain doesn't want a night owl, it wants a guardian. Someone who prioritizes sleep like their life depends on it, because it literally does. You want one solid way to reduce your stroke risk starting tonight? Go to bed. Not eventually, not after one more video. Now.
It starts as a harmless scroll. You're lying in bed, lights off, your thumb flicking upward with rhythmic ease. Instagram, TikTok, news headlines, a text message you forgot to reply to 3 hours ago. One more notification, one more meme, one more rabbit hole. It's not even that interesting, but you can't stop. Blue light pours from your screen straight into your retinas like a microscopic laser show. Your brain, poor thing, thinks it's still daytime. The pineal gland, your body's built-in melatonin factory, gets the signal loud and clear. Cancel the night shift. So now, not only are you staying up later than you planned, but your body literally can't sleep properly even when you try. Melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's time to rest, isn't just for sleep. It's also a powerful antioxidant and a neurovascular protector. When you suppress it with screen light, you're not just robbing yourself of slumber, you're stealing from your brain's repair fund. But there's another issue. While you scroll, your frontal cortex, the decision-making, problem-solving, future-planning part of your brain, is overstimulated. Instead of calming down and gently handing over control to your more restful brain regions, it stays lit like a Times Square billboard. Thoughts race, worries pop up, memories you didn't even know you had resurface. The result? A mind that refuses to shut off. And while you're mentally pacing in the dark, your vascular system is quietly freaking out. Why? Because this combination of late-night stimulation and artificial light exposure raises your nighttime cortisol levels. Yes, again with the cortisol. Your heart rate increases slightly, blood vessels, instead of relaxing like they should during sleep, remain tense. Your blood pressure stays elevated. And all of this is happening while you're motionless in bed, thinking you're relaxing. Let's talk about the real horror movie, endothelial dysfunction. The endothelium is the thin lining inside your blood vessels. It's supposed to help them expand and contract smoothly. But when cortisol, poor sleep, and screen time gang up, this lining becomes inflamed and unresponsive.
Think of it like trying to open an umbrella that's rusted shut during a storm. The real kicker? The damage is cumulative. One night of scrolling doesn't destroy you, but night after night, week after week, the insult builds. Tiny microvascular changes in your brain start to snowball. Your arteries narrow slightly, then a little more. Maybe you develop a bit of plaque. Easy to ignore, impossible to reverse without effort. Ever heard of wake-up strokes? They're a real medical category. Patients go to sleep feeling fine and then wake up, if they wake up, with slurred speech, one side of their body numb, or worse, completely paralyzed. These types of strokes are common in people who experience chronic nighttime blood pressure elevations and disrupted sleep. The late-night screen use, by the way, is a known contributing factor. And here's where things get darker, literally. Because even when you finally put your phone down, the damage isn't done. Studies show blue light exposure after 9 p.m. can delay melatonin production by up to 90 minutes. That means if you scroll until midnight, your body might not start the sleep process until almost 2 a.m., if at all. You might fall asleep eventually, sure, but the quality will be trash. Shallow sleep, frequent waking, and none of that slow wave magic your brain desperately craves. Let's sprinkle in one more twist. Emotional content. Your feed is packed with drama, wars, politics, celebrity scandals, bizarre food hacks. Each piece of content hits your limbic system like a small punch. The amygdala lights up. Stress hormones are released. Your nervous system gears up for action, which is exactly not what you want at bedtime. And the excuse? But this is my only time to unwind. You know what would help you unwind? Surviving your 60s without a stroke. Let's do a little experiment tomorrow, just one night. 2 hours before bed, shut off all screens. No Netflix, no doom scrolling, no YouTube rabbit holes. Yes, even mine. Instead, dim the lights, sip something warm, read a book that smells slightly like your grandma's attic, and give your body what it actually wants. Calm. Because if you don't, your brain starts to learn that nighttime is stress time, that bedtime equals stimulation, that rest isn't a signal, it's a negotiation. And that false association increases your long-term risk of circadian disruption, metabolic issues, vascular stiffening, and yes, stroke. You might not feel it now, but 5 years down the road, when your arteries are just a little less responsive, when that microbleed finally becomes a problem, when you wake up confused and unable to move your right arm, you'll wish you shut your phone down when you had the chance. So tonight, do your brain a favor. Power down, dim the glow, let silence replace stimulation. Because those 10 seconds of cat videos, not worth 10 years of recovery therapy. You stand in the grocery store holding a can of soup that brags about being heart healthy. The label screams, low fat, all natural, organic. But flip that can around and squint at the fine print, because somewhere in there, likely in font size 6, is your brain's worst enemy, sodium. Lots of it. Maybe more than your daily recommended limit in just one serving. See, sodium isn't just about blood pressure anymore. It's about how your brain's blood vessels behave, especially overnight. You down that healthy miso broth or that trendy bone broth powder at dinner thinking you're treating yourself. But here's the deal. Too much salt doesn't just make you thirsty. It dehydrates your brain tissue, causing subtle shrinkage. Not dramatic horror movie-style shrinkage, but enough to stress the surrounding structures and mess with blood flow regulation. Now here's where it gets slippery. Your brain's autoregulation system, the built-in mechanism that adjusts blood vessel diameter based on need, relies heavily on proper hydration and balanced electrolytes. Excess sodium throws that system off. It confuses the pressure sensors in your arteries. And when your arteries are confused, they tend to overreact. One moment they're tight, the next they're too relaxed, then tight again. That instability, it sets the stage for clot formation and even vessel rupture. Still feeling good about that soup? And it's not just soup. Healthy sauces, salad dressings, frozen veggies with added seasoning,
canned beans, pre-cooked brains. So many of these stealthily carry absurd amounts of sodium. The average person's daily intake isn't just a little over the limit, it's double what the World Health Organization recommends. And seniors, yes, you, are especially vulnerable because the kidneys get less efficient with age, which means it's easier for sodium to build up and harder for your body to flush it out. Now let's zoom into your brain again. Remember the endothelium, the slick inner lining of your blood vessels? Sodium damages that lining. It makes the walls of your blood vessels less flexible, which leads to increased resistance, especially in the tiny, delicate arteries that feed your brain. Resistance equals pressure. Pressure equals danger. And in the brain, too much pressure is a one-way ticket to Strokeville.
Oh, and here's a lesser-known horror story. Excess salt stiffens the glymphatic system, that magical nighttime brain drain network we talked about earlier. So not only is your blood pressure rising, but your brain's ability to clean itself during sleep is grinding to a halt. You're now inflamed, clogged, and toxic. Congratulations, dinner just turned into a neurological trap. Let's not forget the companion to all this salt, processed sugar. These two love hanging out, especially in things like sweet and sour sauces, barbecue marinades, even light vinaigrettes. And while sugar's damage was covered earlier, when you combine it with salt, you get a double whammy effect. Inflammation from sugar plus fluid retention from salt equals thicker blood, slower circulation, and a more explosive environment for any wandering clots. But wait, doesn't your body need sodium? Yes, in moderation. Sodium helps nerves fire, muscles contract, and fluids stay balanced. But moderation means 1,500 to 2,300 milligrams per day, not the 3,500 to 5,000 milligrams the average adult consumes. And at night, when your body is supposed to be in rest and repair mode, high sodium intake triggers something insidious: nocturnal hypertension. That's right, while your conscious brain sleeps, your heart and vessels are still working. They rely on cues from your chemical environment to know when to relax. High sodium confuses the system, leading to persistent nighttime high blood pressure, also known as non-dipping blood pressure. That dip is essential. It's the pause button, the reboot. Without it, your arteries never get a break, and your stroke risk climbs faster than your water bill during a heat wave. Here's a wild detail. Brain scans of long-term high-sodium consumers show reduced gray matter in key regions, especially those involved in motor function and memory. It's like slowly removing bricks from a wall and pretending the house will still stand. And for people over 60, that loss is even more rapid. And don't fall for the Himalayan pink salt is healthier trap. Sure, it's pretty, but at the end of the day, sodium is sodium. Whether it's pink, black, flaked, or sea-harvested by hand from a monk in a cave, it still raises your blood pressure, still stiffens your arteries, still pushes your brain closer to danger. So what's the fix? First, start by ditching the silent sodium bombs. If something comes in a can, a jar, or a vacuum-sealed pouch, check that sodium count. Aim for individual items with less than 140 milligrams per serving. Don't trust the marketing, read the numbers. Second, stop salting food at the table. You've already seasoned it while cooking. There's no need to bury it under another layer of brain sabotage. And third, stay hydrated. Sodium damage is magnified when you're dehydrated. So drink water, especially in the evening, to help your kidneys do their job. There's no need to turn your life into a bland tofu purgatory. Herbs, spices, citrus, garlic, those are your new flavor besties, and they don't insult your arteries while pretending to help. Remember, it's not just about the salt shaker, it's the silent salt hiding in your pantry, disguised in healthy packaging, whispering sweet nothings to your blood vessels before betraying them. So next time you reach for that low-fat, gluten-free, heart-friendly snack, flip it over. Read the label. Your brain will thank you, even if it's too swollen to say so.
The evening wraps up. You've had dinner. Maybe even resisted dessert this time. Good for you. But now the ritual begins. Couch, remote,
That deep, familiar sinking into cushions that feel more like quicksand with every passing hour. You deserve to relax, right? After all, you've been on your feet all day. Except you haven't. Not really. If we're being honest, you've been sitting more than you realize. Breakfast at the table, sitting in the car, at your desk, lunch break on a chair, more computer time, then dinner, and finally this grand finale, the couch. The problem isn't sitting once, it's the cumulative sitting, and especially what it does to your body after dinner, when the clock ticks closer to bedtime and your blood decides to slow down to a crawl. See, being sedentary after a meal messes with your metabolism. Your blood sugar remains elevated longer, your digestion slows down, and blood pools in your lower body. Add gravity, age, and a couch you sink into like a beanbag, and you've got the perfect storm. Now picture this. Your blood vessels, especially the ones in your legs and pelvis, begin to dilate slightly due to inactivity. Blood starts to pool. Circulation becomes sluggish. Meanwhile, that rich dinner you just ate is sending fat particles and sugar molecules through your bloodstream like bumper cars. Your arteries, already a bit stiff from years of use, don't like this one bit. And then comes the clot. Maybe it's tiny. Maybe it's been forming for weeks. But now, your lack of movement gives it time to solidify. That little clot might dislodge when you finally lie down, and where does it go? Wherever it wants. Through the bloodstream, up the jugular highway, and, if you're unlucky, straight into a cerebral artery. That's how strokes often happen. Not from big, dramatic events, but from quiet, lazy evenings where nothing seems wrong. You might think, I move enough. But do you? Studies show that people over 60 who sit for more than 6 hours a day have significantly higher risks of stroke, even if they exercise for 30 minutes in the morning. That's right, your morning walk doesn't cancel out 12 hours of couch time. It's not just about how much you move, it's about how often you move.
Your brain depends on regular blood flow to function. But when you're inactive for long stretches, your blood flow slows. Oxygen delivery decreases. Waste removal lags. You may not feel the effects right away, but inside your skull, neurons are running low on fuel. And guess what else is happening while you sit? Your blood pressure quietly creeps upward. Your insulin sensitivity drops. Your heart rate variability, an important marker of cardiovascular health, gets worse. All of this contributes to a state of vascular sluggishness that raises your risk of stroke exponentially. And the cherry on top? Most people are sedentary after dinner, the worst time. That's when your digestive system is in overdrive, your body temperature is dropping, and your brain is preparing to enter restorative cycles. Movement helps all of those systems. Stillness? It tells your body to stay in standby mode. You know what makes it even worse? The way you sit. Slouched, head forward, shoulders curved. That posture restricts breathing, narrows arteries in your neck, and puts physical pressure on your spine, which affects nerve communication and blood pressure regulation. It's not just laziness. It's literally training your body for decline. But here's the good news. You don't have to become a full-time yogi. You just need to interrupt your sitting. Get up every 30 minutes. Stretch. Walk to the kitchen. Do a lap around the room. Stand while watching the news. Even 5 minutes of gentle movement dramatically improves circulation and lowers stroke risk. Better yet, try this. After dinner, go for a 10-minute walk. Nothing strenuous, just a stroll around the block or even around the house. It helps regulate blood sugar, aids digestion, and resets your circadian rhythm. Your brain will love you for it. Let's not forget that long-term sitting also affects your leg muscles. When they're inactive for too long, they begin to atrophy. You lose strength, balance, reaction time, And those losses increase your risk of falls, another major cause of stroke in seniors, especially when trauma leads to bleeding in the brain. And no, those vibrating massage chairs won't save you. Neither will compression socks alone. You need to move. Blood needs help traveling against gravity, especially from your lower extremities back to your heart and up to your brain. That job belongs to your muscles, and muscles only do it when they're used. Even fidgeting counts. Seriously. Studies show people who fidget or shift positions frequently have better metabolic markers than those who sit completely still for hours. So go ahead, tap your foot, adjust your seat, do that weird little side stretch. Your arteries will appreciate it. Because here's what your brain really wants: consistency. It doesn't care if you run marathons or do Tai Chi, it just wants frequent movement, especially in the evening hours. That movement helps maintain the integrity of your vascular system, ensuring fresh blood gets where it needs to go, upstairs, to the command center. So if you're reading this while lounging on the couch, congratulations, you're not alone. Most people are doing the same, but now you know what it costs. And when that stroke hits, not if, but when, if the pattern doesn't change, it won't be dramatic. It'll be subtle. A sudden loss of balance, trouble speaking, a numb hand, a confused look in the mirror. Maybe you'll get to the phone in time. Maybe you won't. Or maybe, just maybe, you'll stand up right now, walk around, shake out your legs, drink some water, break the spell. Because 5 minutes of movement tonight might give you 5 more years of clear, sharp, beautiful mornings.
It's 2:46 a.m. You're not awake on purpose, but you're awake. Again. You roll over, annoyed. Your pillow feels too warm. Your thoughts feel louder than they should. You glance at the ceiling, as if it owes you an explanation. This isn't insomnia exactly. It's stress. But not the dramatic, movie-style panic. No, this is the subtle kind. The everyday hum of worry, the unfinished to-do list, that awkward conversation from earlier, the bill you forgot to pay. It brews under the surface, like a pot left on low heat. You might not even notice it during the day. But at night, when your mind tries to power down, it simmers over. And your brain? It's not just thinking, it's reacting. Cortisol, your stress hormone, kicks back into circulation. It's supposed to taper off at night, letting your blood pressure drop so your heart and vessels can rest. But instead, this mental storm triggers what researchers call the nocturnal stress response. And it comes with a particularly nasty twist: a 3 a.m. blood pressure spike. This isn't rare. It's been tracked in countless studies. There's a predictable circadian rhythm to your cardiovascular system, and for most people, blood pressure naturally dips while they sleep. But when stress interferes, the dip doesn't happen, or worse, it reverses. Suddenly, your cardiovascular system is waking up in the middle of the night, preparing for danger. And this danger could be nothing more than a replay of that time your cousin Karen insulted your casserole. Meanwhile, deep inside your arteries, things are getting tense, literally. The blood vessels constrict, the heart beats slightly harder, and in your brain, particularly in areas like the basal ganglia and cerebellum, where blood flow regulation is delicate, that sudden pressure surge can rupture a fragile vessel or dislodge a lurking clot. That's why so many strokes happen in the early morning hours, between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., while you're sleeping. It's not a coincidence. It's biology colliding with stress. Now, let's make things a little darker. Chronic stress doesn't just raise cortisol, it also elevates levels of homocysteine, a lesser-known amino acid that inflames and damages the inner walls of your arteries. High homocysteine has been linked directly to stroke, heart attack, and dementia. And guess what boosts homocysteine? Long-term psychological stress, poor diet, and, you guessed it, bad sleep. Worry isn't harmless. It's biochemical warfare on your brain.
And it doesn't need to be big, life-altering trauma. Daily, low-grade stress is often worse because it's constant and goes untreated. It keeps your body in a low-key fight-or-flight state, just active enough to stop repair systems, keep cortisol elevated, disrupt blood sugar, and squeeze blood vessels like a sponge being wrung dry. Here's the kicker. Even when you finally fall asleep, that stress leaves fingerprints on your sleep architecture. You spend less time in deep, restorative sleep and more time in light, twitchy, fragmented sleep. You don't cycle properly through the phases, which means your glymphatic system, the brain's rinse cycle, never gets to do its job. The plaque builds, the vessels stay tense, the damage compounds. And guess what you crave when you wake up stressed and exhausted? Sugar, caffeine, salt. You're more likely to overeat, skip exercise, and justify bad habits because you're just trying to survive the day. And so the cycle repeats every night, every morning. Tighter arteries, thicker blood, a brain that's running on fumes. You ever heard the phrase dying in your sleep? Sounds peaceful, right? Romanticized even. But when it's a stroke, it's not peaceful. It's silent, sudden, final, and often preventable. So how do you fight back? You can't eliminate all stress, but you can control how you wind down at night. Start with this, a true evening routine. Not just turning off the TV and brushing your teeth, but a full decompression ritual. Try journaling before bed, light stretching, dim lighting, soothing music, no screens for at least an hour, a short meditation, yes, even if you feel silly. These practices don't just calm you down, they actively lower cortisol, regulate blood pressure, and prepare your brain for real, healing sleep. And don't bottle it up. Have a tough conversation? Finish it. Need to cry? Cry. Holding emotional tension is like leaving a pressure cooker unattended. Your nervous system remembers what you tried to forget. If you need a simple, powerful move tonight, breathe. In through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Out through your mouth for 6. Repeat. This 4-4-6 pattern activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the one that actually lets your body heal. Because you weren't built to live under siege. You were built to recover, but only if you let yourself. So tonight, when the thoughts get loud at 3 a.m. and your heart beats faster for no reason, remember, it's not random. It's your body responding to a habit. A pattern, one you can break. You're not doomed. You're just overdue for peace.
So now you're lying there, maybe a little more still. The buzz of the day has quieted, the screen's off, the fridge door is closed. Your shoulders, perhaps without noticing, have softened just a bit. Let's slow everything down together. You breathe in, slow, deliberate. Air travels through your nose, into your chest, and it doesn't have to go anywhere quickly. No one's rushing you now. As you exhale, feel the weight of gravity just a little more, pulling you gently downward. That's not fatigue. It's your body finally easing into the rhythm it's always craved. Your brain, even after everything we've talked about, is still on your side. It wants to protect you. Every vessel, every beat, every impulse. It's not fighting you. It's fighting for you. But it needs your help. And tonight, help can look very simple. No more sugar before bed. No late night scrolling. No just one more episode. Just stillness. Silence. A little kindness for the machine that's kept you alive all these years.
Picture your blood vessels now, unwinding like threads, expanding quietly in the darkness. Picture your neurons resetting, not from fear, but from calm. Picture your heart slowing down, not because it's tired, but because it finally feels safe. Outside, maybe the wind is brushing softly against the windows. Maybe the fan hums with a rhythm older than language. And inside you, there's no chaos, only breath. So let this moment stretch. Let it blur the edges of your thoughts. You've done enough today. And tonight, you're not fighting anything. You're just floating. From your brain down to your toes, may every cell find its calm. And if you drift off now, that's perfect, because that's the sound of a brain finally being allowed to rest.